Welcome back. All right, I'm continuing my series on the top mistakes I've seen people make with planning and investing and working toward retirement. Number 3, this is a big one, and I'm going to get on my soapbox. Here I go. Inadequate advisor due diligence. There's a lot here, so let me try to get to all of it. You got to know who you're dealing with. You got to know who they are. I'm not going to kid you. Being a financial advisor carries a tremendous amount of responsibility. It takes a lot of focus, it takes a lot of energy, it takes a lot of thought, it takes a lot of planning and thinking things through and looking at them not 1, not 2, not 3 dimensions, but looking at them in 4 and 5 dimensions. Building the plan, figuring out how to put all the pieces together. There's your 3 dimensions. Moving it forward in time, saying, what does this look like going forward? There's your 4th. And then considering alternate future realities gives me 5 dimensions. Yes, I know I'm a little bit of a science nut, but the point is that you really need to, I want you to recognize that financial advisors, if they do financial advising right, have a lot of responsibility, and they need to be as prepared and as educated and have as much latitude as possible to give you the best advice. So let's go through some of the issues that you could face if you don't adequately investigate them and do your due diligence before you hire them. I've got a list and I'll be referring to it. Now, a lot of this I cover in the book I wrote, How to Get Great Advice and Avoid Scams. Back in 2011, I hid at my house on 50 Fridays and I wrote 2 books. One of them was the first book I mentioned, How to Get Great Advice and Avoid Scams. I wrote it because it didn't exist. I've seen no book like it. It is really clear about how financial advisors work. So if you want a full discussion, get that book on some of the things I'm going to talk about right now. Number 1, there are different elements to how financial advisors do business. And I call it the 7 elements of how financial advisors do business. These 7 pieces or components or ingredients determine how most advisors work. So here they are. Number 1, licensing and regulation. Your question to an advisor before you hire them needs to be, which licenses do you have? How are you regulated? Who oversees what you do? An advisor who does not have a particular license for a particular type of financial product or security or investment cannot recommend it to you. So you need to know that, because if you're being told to do particular products or investments by an advisor and they cannot recommend other ones, you're not getting the full picture. You're not getting the full set of options that should be available. That may require you to work with multiple advisors if the advisors you work with are limited in what they can do. Now, what is ironic or interesting about that is if you have, say you have 3 different advisors, all that have one thing they do, but you need all 3, guess who's the financial planner? You are, by default, because you're having to integrate those 3 things together. So, number 1, licensing and regulation. How are you licensed and who regulates and oversees what you do? Number 2, very related, what are your product and service capabilities? I kind of touched on that. What services and products specifically can you offer and which ones can't you? I think it's the ones that you can't that are probably more important than the ones you can, because then you'll know the things that they can't do and you may have to go somewhere else if those things might be appropriate for you. Number 3, what are their industry titles and labels perhaps that they use on a business card? What title and label do they use? Some of them mean something, some of them mean nothing. So look at that very carefully when they give you their business card and ask them what it means. You know, a great example of some that, and you can see I'm already laughing a little bit, a couple of my favorites, the ones that says I'm president or CEO. Of what? They may be the only employee of their company and they're president, CEO, chairman of the board, and chief bottle washer. There's nothing wrong with that, but don't let that title give you the impression that they have a large company. Other ones I've seen, asset protection specialist. What in the world does that mean? I don't know. Something to do with protecting your assets? Consultant? Vague. I mean, what do they do? I have a lot of respect for financial people that really say what they do on their business card. Financial planner, insurance agent, investment advisor. Say what you are. It's okay. Number 4, this is a really big one. Degree of advisor independence. How independent are they? Do they work for a company? Who is it? How much latitude do they have in the products that they can recommend? If they work for a bank, brokerage firm, or insurance company, let's be very clear. If they are an employee of that company, the employer sets the rules, says what they can do. They can't just go and get any product that may be appropriate for you. They have a list of products that they can recommend, services they can offer by virtue of that employment relationship. It's that straightforward. Now, I'm not saying that that impairs their ability to give you good advice. I'm saying that it could, or that you need to know how much latitude there is, how restrictive is it? How restrictive is that relationship? I'll give you a very simple example. If an insurance agent works for an insurance company and that insurance company pays their bills, pays for the office, pays for the receptionist, pays for an assistant, pays, whose life insurance product are they going to recommend when you go into the office to ask for life insurance? That's not a difficult question, and it's a pretty obvious answer. So you just need to understand in every scenario, how independent is the advisor? Number 5, are they a fiduciary? Fiduciary is an advisor who is, for as long as the relationship exists, is required to give you the best recommendation, that which is suitable for you, and the one that they think is the best choice for you. It's a high standard. It basically works that you're at the top, they work for you, and then everybody else is below them. In other words, you're in prime pole position. They are right underneath you and working for you. Your interests come before theirs, and then everybody else is beneath the advisor in terms of their importance in the equation. It's a yes or no answer. Are you a fiduciary or not? Number 6, and it's in proper order here, method of compensation. That might surprise you. That's not higher on my list here in terms of the things that are important about an advisor. I'm not so concerned about how an advisor is paid, fee-based, fee-only, commission, whatever. There are a lot of different ways that products are made available to advisors for them to recommend them to you, the consumer, their client. I'm much more concerned about disclosure of compensation or any potential conflicts. So I would, if I'm asking somebody to help me, I want to know what something's going to cost, and I want to know what they're going to be compensated. The big thing isn't how, but it's disclosure in writing. If an advisor hesitates or immediately becomes uncomfortable, like you've just sneezed all over the table, okay, and you say you've been fighting a cold, and they want to get out of there as quickly as they can, I think you have your answer. I think you've identified maybe an issue that may not be best for the relationship. And last, credentials. Do they have credentials, yes or no? Anybody who is providing advice needs to know what they're doing. Know those things about an advisor, and you can plan stronger.